Imagine doing everything right after a really messy breakup. Like you give her the space she asked for, you respectfully walk away, you don't send those pathetic, highly emotional late night texts.
Right, the ones everyone regrets.
Exactly, you just disappear into your own life. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, she is the one completely losing her mind. She's blowing up your phone, demanding to know who you're with, acting like she's the one who was just completely blindsided.
Yeah, it's wild how that flips.
It really is. And I think most men don't realize that walking away is actually the ultimate test of attraction. And the biggest mistake almost every single guy makes, without even noticing it, is sticking around to play the nice guy X.
Oh, absolutely. It's the most common trap out there.
Okay.
And it's entirely based on this fundamental misunderstanding of how human psychology actually operates under pressure, especially, the pressure of losing control.
Okay.
Because guys think that by lingering, by showing her how reasonable and available and endlessly forgiving they are, that they're somehow proving their worth.
Like they're communicating, hey, look what a great guy I am, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what you are really proving on a deep subconscious level is that your time, your energy, and frankly, your self-respect have absolutely zero value. You're showing her that she can discard you, and you will still just stick around and orbit her life.
Right, because there's this massive societal illusion that staying friends or slowly fading out while still being a shoulder to cry on is somehow the mature thing to do.
It's what everyone tells you to do.
Yeah, we're told it's the high road, but today we're going to completely dismantle that. What we're really unpacking in this deep dive is the incredible and frankly chaotic psychological shift that happens when a man fully unapologetically withdraws his attention.
Which is incredibly powerful.
It is. We're looking at the mechanics of what happens when you establish absolute boundaries and prioritize your own life over relationship drama. And to really understand this, we don't even need to start with some massive dramatic 5-year breakup.
No, you see it in the small stuff all the time.
Exactly. We can actually see this exact psychological machinery play out in a very common, very low-stakes situation. It's a situation literally almost every guy has faced, and it proves this rule right out of the gate. The dreaded friend zone.
Oh man, the friend zone is the perfect laboratory for this. It is basically the micro version of the macro breakup dynamic.
Totally.
The stakes are lower, obviously, but the human hardware, like the ego, the need for validation, the anxiety of losing a resource, it's all functioning exactly the same way.
Okay, so let's unpack this scenario and look at the moving parts. You meet a girl, things are seemingly going well, you get her number, she clearly finds you cute, you've had some good banter.
Right, the initial attraction is there.
Yeah, it's there. But then suddenly, she throws up the shield. She sends that classic text that just makes every guy's stomach drop. Hey, you're really great, but I've got to draw a line. Let's just be friends.
A kiss of death.
Right. Now, the average guy panics here. He either gets incredibly defensive and completely ruins whatever rapport they had, or he immediately capitulates and starts acting like her non-threatening best friend. Yeah. Like he becomes her pen pal.
Which is exactly what she expects.
Right. But in this specific scenario we're looking at, the guy does something brilliant. He simply agrees. He types back, that's fine. But here's the twist. He takes an hour to send it.
Just 1 hour.
Just 1 hour of radio silence before sending 2 unbothered words. And this incredibly minor delay causes her to mentally spiral. She goes from being the one in control, the one drawing the boundary, to suddenly feeling this overwhelming urge to delete his entire text thread out of sheer frustration.
Let's really drill down into the neurology of why this happens, because it's genuinely fascinating. When a woman friend zones you, but still clearly wants to keep your attention.
Which she does, because she reached out to set the rule right.
Exactly. She initiated the conversation to establish this new dynamic, so when she does that, she is running a subconscious test. Now, when I say test, I don't necessarily mean she's sitting in a dark room maliciously plotting against you.
Right.
It's an instinctual evolutionary mechanism. She wants to see what kind of man she's dealing with. She knows she finds you attractive on some level, but she needs to know if you are the kind of man who commands his own reality, or if you're a guy she can easily keep on a shelf to validate her ego whenever she feels for it.
I'm going to pause you right there, because the phrase running a test can sound almost conspiratorial to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Are you saying she actively knows she's doing this?
Usually no. I mean, it's not a conscious, calculated strategy in the way a chess player plans 3 moves ahead. It's much more like a child pushing a boundary to see where the fence is.
Okay, that makes sense.
She is acting on how she feels a bit overwhelmed, or maybe she wants the benefits of your attention without the risk of a romantic commitment. So she throws out the let's be friends line just to see how the ecosystem reacts.
She wants to see what you'll do.
Right. She expects a very specific outcome. She expects you to either chase her, beg her, or immediately start seeking her approval to prove you're cool with the new arrangement.
Right. It's like she expected a vending machine. She puts in the coin of a let's be friends text, fully expecting the soda of your validation to drop down into the tray. She expects you to say, oh my God, of course, I value you so much as a person. I'd love to be friends.
That is a brilliant analogy. Yes, the vending machine. And when you wait an hour and then just say, that's fine, nothing comes out of the machine, you completely deny her the expected outcome.
And her brain just glitches.
Exactly, because when the human brain's predictive model is broken, it creates cognitive dissonance. That frustration she feels, that physical anxiety, and the sudden urge to delete the text thread, that is literally her ego throwing a tantrum because she shook the vending machine and got absolutely nothing. She realized within 60 minutes that you are not a guy she can manipulate. By deliberately not jumping at the chance to instantly become her digital pen pal, you completely shattered her frame.
Okay, but I have to push back on this a little, because I can hear the guys listening right now saying, wait a minute, if I intentionally wait an hour just to make her anxious, aren't I the one playing games now? Like, how does a guy differentiate between actually setting a boundary and just using silence as a cheap manipulation tactic?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is the most crucial distinction we can make today. It entirely comes down to internal state versus external performance.
Okay, explain that.
If you are sitting there staring at your phone, sweating, watching the clock tick down minute by minute, thinking, okay, at exactly 60 minutes, I will send this text to make her crazy. Well, yes, you are playing a game.
You're still obsessing over her.
Right, you are being manipulative, and more importantly, you're still completely operating within her reality. She is still controlling your emotions, even if you're holding back the text.
So what's the alternative?
True boundary setting, like acting from a place of actual high value, means you read the text, you realize she doesn't want what you want, you put the phone in your pocket, and you go hit the gym. Or you go back to work. You give yourself an hour to actually process the rejection so you don't react emotionally.
So you're actually moving on with your day.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then when you happen to look at your phone again, you send a genuine, unbothered, that's fine, because you have truly accepted it and you are moving on. The outward action looks similar, but the internal engine is entirely different. One is a trick, the other is genuine self-respect.
That makes total sense. It's basically the difference between faking abundance and actually having it. But society tells guys the exact opposite. Every romantic comedy, every mainstream dating advice column tells men to just be patient.
It's terrible advice.
It really is. It tells you that if you stick around, if you accept the friend zone, if you sit there and listen to her complain about the bad boys who treat her poorly, eventually she'll wake up one day, the rain will fall, the music will swell, she'll realize, oh my God, the perfect guy was right in front of me all along. So why shouldn't the guy just wait it out in the friend zone? What's the actual harm?
The harm is the complete erosion of your soul and your self-worth over time. That Hollywood narrative is a fast track to losing her respect entirely, and honestly worse, losing respect for yourself.
Yeah, you feel like a loser doing it.
Because you're acting like one. Being a gentleman does not mean being a sucker. There is a massive difference. A gentleman respects her decision not to date him. He doesn't call her names. He doesn't throw a fit. But a self-respecting man does not stick around to act as an emotional sponge for someone who has explicitly rejected him romantically.
Right, because let's look at the alternative timeline. Let's say you do accept it. You become the quote-unquote friend. 6 months from now, you are spending your Friday night helping her build IKEA furniture while she texts a guy who actively ignores her.
It happens all the time.
You are paying for dinners that she just considers friendly catch-ups. You are bleeding out time, energy, and resources into a black hole, all while secretly harboring resentment. Because you have this covert contract in your head. You think your friendship is like a down payment on future romance.
Exactly, a covert contract. And women have a sixth sense for that. They know when a guy is hovering. It is deeply, deeply unattractive.
Because it's dishonest.
It is. You owe nobody your time. Your time and your attention are your absolute most valuable resources. When you show you are completely unaffected by her game, when you say that's fine and walk away, it short-circuits her original plan to string you along.
It's incredible how many guys stumble exactly at this hurdle. This is exactly the kind of ambiguity where guys just get totally lost. And honestly, if someone wants a more structured roadmap for handling these exact transition moments, that's actually something self-attraction does really well.
Yeah, a lot of guys need that framework.
I know a lot of men struggle when the dynamic shifts suddenly, and they just don't have a plan. The core thesis in a lot of that material isn't about guessing. It's about replacing your reactive, anxious emotion with a structured framework. It forces you to operate from a place of stability instead of panic.
Which is critical because reactive emotion is exactly what the friend zone test is designed to pull out of you. A framework keeps you grounded. It reminds you that silence and space are active, powerful choices, not passive failures.
Absolutely.
When you implement that space, you are communicating your value louder than any words ever could.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because if pulling back your attention and just taking an hour to text back works on a girl you barely know, like if it causes that level of a psychological explosion, the effect it has on an ex-girlfriend is 100 times bigger.
Oh, without a doubt.
The roots are deeper, the attachment is stronger, and the ego investment is just massive. Which brings us to the scenario that catches so many guys completely off guard. We can call it the let's just be cool trap.
This is where things transition from just a minor bruised ego to full-blown emotional chaos.
Absolutely. So let's lay out the scenario here. You have a guy who gets out of an incredibly toxic, unhealthy relationship. Maybe she initiated it, maybe it was mutual, but it was bad. And to his credit, he actually does the hardest thing. He goes completely silent.
Which takes immense discipline.
It does. 4 solid months of absolute zero contact, no late night texts, no liking her Instagram stories, no checking her TikTok, just completely off the grid.
A true ghost.
Exactly. Then 4 months later, they happen to run into each other at a mutual friend's party. Now, let's look at her mindset going into this. She goes into this party thinking she holds all the cards. Her plan is to play it cool. She tells herself she's just going to walk up, say very casual, "Hey, how's it going? Good to see you," and then go mingle. She wants to demonstrate how unbothered she is, like she won the breakup.
Because in her mind, over those 4 months, she has authored a completely fictitious narrative.
What do you mean?
When there is silence, the human ego fills in the blanks with whatever story protects it the most. So she has convinced herself that she is the victor, she is thriving, and he is somewhere in his apartment pining away for her, just waiting for a single breadcrumb of attention.
Exactly. But instead of playing it cool, the reality of seeing him, and more importantly, seeing his total, genuine detachment, causes her to completely unravel.
It breaks the illusion.
Totally. She walks up to him, and instead of saying hi, she unleashes a barrage of truly unhinged questions and demands. And I want to list some of these out because it paints such a vivid, chaotic picture of the panic taking over her brain.
Let's hear them.
Within like a 5-minute window, she hits him with, "Why did you leave me undelivered 4 months ago? You want to look at old photos on my phone? Do you have a girlfriend? Cancel your Uber right now, you're not leaving. Can you unbutton your shirt? I thought you were different. Do you want to make out? I hate you."
Wow.
Right. It is a literal shotgun blast of every emotion on the human spectrum. Lust, anger, nostalgia, control, rage.
It is the absolute definition of a psychological short circuit. We really need to dissect this reaction because it is a masterclass in what happens when a man removes his presence and creates a true vacuum.
So what's happening in her brain right there?
Yeah. For 4 months, she assumed she had a safety net. She assumed that if she snapped her fingers, he would still be there. When he shows up to that party and is genuinely detached, like he isn't angry, he isn't needy, he isn't trying to make her jealous, he is just indifferent. That safety net vanishes in real time.
It's the indifference that kills her, right?
Yeah.
Because if he was angry, she could work with that.
Exactly. Anger means she still affects him. Anger means she still has power over his emotional state. Indifference is the ultimate ego death. And what you're hearing in that barrage of questions isn't love. It's not nostalgia. It is pure, unfiltered panic.
Just scrambling for control.
Yes. Her brain is scrambling to find a control lever that still works.
Cancel your Uber. That's one that really gets me. It's not even a question. It's a direct command to try and reestablish authority over him.
Well, let's break down the tactics in those questions because every single one is a probe to find a vulnerability.
Okay, let's do it.
Can you unbutton your shirt? Or do you want to make out? That is a desperate attempt at sexual manipulation. She's thinking, if I can arouse him, I control him.
Right.
Then you have, do you have a girlfriend? That's her assessing her replacement, looking for a target to attack. And then, I hate you. That's trying to trigger his anger so he will fight back and engage.
She just wants any engagement at all.
Exactly. She is throwing absolutely everything at the wall because her reality, the reality where she was the star and he was just the supporting character, has just been violently shattered.
You know, it's wild how memory works after a breakup. It's like they completely rewrite the script in their heads.
It's a very real phenomenon we can call selective memory. After a breakup, particularly a toxic one, a person will intensely remember the good things they did for you, and they will laser focus on the bad things you did to them.
Right.
But they completely conveniently erase all the sacrifices you made. Your time, your money, your patience, the absolute chaos you endured. All of that is wiped from the hard drive so they can remain the protagonist in their own mind.
It's like they rewrite the script, where they are the absolute flawless hero, and you were just this supporting character who suddenly went rogue. And when you, the supporting character, show up and prove that you are actually the star of your own movie, they just can't process the data.
That's exactly it. And I want to speak directly to the guys listening to this right now because this is where the biggest mistake happens.
The relapse.
Yes. You have to understand this on a foundational level. Your absolute absence forces her to confront the reality that she no longer controls you. When you get that barrage of texts or that crazy confrontation at a party, do not mistake it for affection.
It feels like affection, though.
It does, but it's an illusion. That chaos wasn't about love, it was about her loss of power. Do not let it go to your ego.
That is such a vital warning. Because the temptation for a guy in that moment, especially if he's been hurting and missing her for 4 months, is to think, wow, she really misses me. The no contact worked. I got her back. She wants to make out. She's jealous.
Right, the trap snaps shut.
Exactly. But you didn't get her back. You got her ego back. And if you cave, if you cancel that Uber and go home with her, the second she wakes up the next morning and realizes she has you back on the hook, she will instantly lose respect for you again.
Instantly. The panic will subside, the ego will be satiated, and she will revert right back to the exact same toxic behavior that caused the breakup in the first place.
Which is why the only winning move at that party is to smile politely, say, it was nice seeing you, get in the Uber, and go home to your peace.
That's the only move.
Okay, so let's follow this timeline further. Let's say the guy does exactly that. He gets in the Uber, he maintains his frame. What happens next? Because if they can't get you back through that direct panic confrontation, their very next move is to try and attack your progress from a distance.
Always.
If they can't control you directly, they try to control the narrative around you.
Yeah.
Which leads us perfectly into our next scenario, the concept of the downgrade illusion.
Ah, the smear campaign. This is perhaps the most predictable ego protection mechanism in the history of dating.
It really is. It's like clockwork. So let's set up the scenario. The guy has successfully moved on. He went no contact, he focused on himself, he hit the gym, got his money right, and now he is dating someone new.
Good for him.
Right. But the toxic ex-girlfriend eventually finds out about this new woman. Now, visually, the new girl and the ex look completely different. They have totally different styles, different aesthetics, different body types.
Okay.
The ex immediately takes to social media, or loudly proclaims to anyone in her social circle who will listen, that this new girl is the biggest downgrade ever. She actively offended by it. She's making TikToks about it. She's gossiping. She's trying to convince everyone that he has lost his mind and settled for someone vastly inferior.
Of course she is.
So my question for you is, if she broke up with him, or if the relationship is definitively over and she supposedly doesn't care about him anymore, why is she making videos about his new girl? Why does she even care who he is dating?
It is entirely about her ego needing a life support system. If we look at the evolutionary psychology of female competition, women often fixate heavily on physical looks and external aesthetics when comparing themselves to a new partner.
Because it's easy to judge.
Exactly. It's the most immediate, tangible metric. But to a high-value man who has actually done the work to build his life, the primary metric for a partner isn't just about who wears better makeup, who has the flashier Instagram, or who buys the most expensive clothes. The metric is treatment.
Treatment. Let's dig into that. What exactly do you mean by treatment?
Treatment is the day-to-day reality of the relationship. The new woman might be far more feminine in her energy. She might be far more appreciative. When he does something nice, she actually says thank you instead of critiquing how he did it.
That's huge.
It changes everything. She is supportive of his goals, and most importantly, she brings the man peace instead of chaos. She doesn't pick fights at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday just to feel something.
Right, the toxic drama.
The ex cannot see that peace. And honestly, even if she could, she would never ever admit it. She has to convince herself and the public that the new girl is a visual downgrade, because the alternative is admitting that the man is thriving without her.
Which would destroy her narrative.
Exactly. It is unbearable for a toxic ex to accept that you are happier, healthier, and being treated better by someone else, because that means she was the problem. So she attacks the one thing she thinks she can judge from a distance, which is the aesthetic.
It makes total sense. It's like, imagine quitting a deeply toxic, stressful job. You're working for a boss who micromanages you, calls you on weekends, doesn't respect your time, and underpays you.
Yeah.
It's literally destroying your mental health.
We've all been there.
So you finally leave, you move to a better company where you are respected, you have a great work-life balance, your boss actually praises your work, and your mental health is fantastic. But the new company's office building is a little older. It doesn't have the shiny glass lobby of your old job.
I see where this is going.
Right. Your old boss then goes around telling everyone in the industry that you took a terrible career step, you downgraded, you're working in an ugly brick building now. What a loser. Yeah. They desperately need you to look like a failure to validate their own poor management and toxic culture.
That is the perfect analogy. The old boss doesn't care about your actual happiness. They only care about how your departure reflects on their status. The ex is doing the exact same thing. She is trying to drag you down to validate her own delusions of grandeur.
It's just projection.
100%. And the core takeaway for the listener here is this. Never, ever engage with the smear campaign. Do not defend your new girl to your ex. Do not try to prove how happy you are. Do not post retaliatory photos trying to show off how great your new relationship is.
Because defending it proves you still care about her opinion. It shows she still has a seat on the board of directors in your life.
Exactly. The only reason she is starting this drama is because you are no longer going back and forth with her. She wants a reaction. If you were miserable, if you were posting sad quotes on your story, if you were clearly struggling and alone, she would feel fantastic about herself.
I'll be loving it.
She would feel completely validated. Your success, your peace, and your absolute silence are what bother her. Let her talk to a wall.
Let her talk to a wall. I love that. But, it's easy to say let her talk to a wall when we're just talking about Instagram and gossip. Setting those boundaries gets incredibly complicated when there are real, tangible resources involved.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different ballgame.
We've talked about emotional boundaries, but what about financial and structural boundaries? Because a lot of guys feel an immense amount of guilt when it comes to cutting off resources. Which brings us to a really heavy, real-life scenario regarding what we can call the entitlement of the initiator.
This is where the rubber really meets the road for a lot of men. It's one thing to not return a text. It's a completely different emotional hurdle to financially detach from someone you once promised to protect.
Right, so let's look at this situation. You have a married couple. The wife initiates a separation. She decides she is unhappy, she wants space, and she wants to move further away for work. She is the one driving the breakup.
Okay, so it's her choice.
Entirely her choice. The husband accepts her decision. He doesn't fight her, he doesn't beg. 2 months later, as they are separated, the husband formally removes her from his car insurance policy.
Which is standard procedure.
Right, but she absolutely breaks down crying. She takes to the internet to complain about it. She said she can't afford her own insurance now, she can't work as many hours, and she argues that it would have been so much cheaper for her if he'd just been a decent guy, let her stay on his family plan, and she would just Venmo him her half every month.
Oh.
She feels like her life is falling apart, and he is being incredibly cold and cruel. Now, I want to do an empathy check here, because I know a lot of guys listening to this might actually feel bad for her. Like, as a man, your biological and societal instinct is to protect and provide.
Of course it is.
Especially if you're married, you took vows. Cutting her off from the car insurance right after a separation seems a bit vindictive. Shouldn't he just take the $100 a month and let her stay on the plan to be the bigger person?
No, absolutely not. And we need to strongly reframe this for any guy listening who feels that instinct to rescue her right now. Let's look at the actual facts. She wanted the separation. She chose to leave the marriage.
Right.
She chose to step out from under the protective umbrella of that relationship. You cannot sever the relationship, break the family unit, and then demand to keep the financial perks, the administrative convenience, and the protection of a husband.
It's the ultimate entitlement. It's like saying, I don't want to be your wife, but I want you to manage my premiums and take on my liability.
Exactly. She is looking at it purely from the perspective of her own convenience. Notice her language in that story. It's cheaper for me. Did she stop to think about what is emotionally, legally, or financially best for him?
Definitely not.
No. She wanted independence, and he gave her exactly what she asked for. True, unadulterated independence. The problem is, she only wanted the fun, adventurous parts of independence, not the adult, logistical responsibilities that come with it.
The unsexy parts of being single.
Right. When a man caves in this situation, when he says, okay, fine, just Venmo me, he is funding his own disrespect. He is telling her, you can break my family, you can walk away from our vows, and I will still act as your safety net.
That is a brutal truth, and there are massive legal liabilities there too, right? Like if she gets in a wreck, he's liable.
Exactly. He's taking on massive risk for someone who just fired him from the job of husband.
But beyond the logistics, it's the emotional tether. There's a golden rule here that you've got to adopt if you are in this situation. If you are dealing with a separation, a divorce, or a co-parenting situation.
The golden rule is this. If it doesn't have to do directly with the logistics and well-being of the kids, do not engage. Period. You treat the situation like a strict, polite, but firm business transaction.
Which means no catching up, no asking how her new apartment is, no grabbing a coffee to quote-unquote talk things out, and absolutely no updates on your life.
Absolutely no updates on your life. I cannot warn men against this strongly enough. When you give an ex updates on your life, especially if you are doing well, you are handing them ammunition.
How so?
Because if they know you just got a promotion, if they know you are thriving financially, they might try to drag you back to court for more alimony or child support. If they know you're happy, they will find a way to introduce drama to destabilize you.
Because your happiness is a threat.
Exactly. You have to let the history books be the history books. Stop letting your shared past dictate your independent future. You have a new life to build. And frankly, shielding your resources is part of building that new life.
It's so true. And sometimes this strict withdrawal of resources and attention, like the harsh reality of having to pay your own bills, call your own plumber, and navigate life without his protection, is the only thing that makes a woman actually realize what she lost.
Often, it's the only wake-up call they get.
Which ties directly into our next scenario, what we can call the stumbled man and the epiphany of accountability.
This is a rare but deeply illustrative phenomenon. It's what happens when the consequences of her actions finally penetrate the ego's defenses.
Right. So in this scenario, we have a woman who is openly reflecting, maybe on a podcast or talking to her friends, and she admits that she completely fumbled a sweet, good, patient man.
Okay, so she's actually owning it.
Yeah, she confesses that she ruined the relationship because of her own unregulated emotions, the constant mood swings, and the day-to-day chaos she brought into his life. She says she now realizes she was the toxic one, she needs to heal, and she wants to get to a place where she can get him back because he deserves a better version of her.
Well, that sounds great on the surface.
It does. But I want to point out an observation here. It is incredibly common in modern dating culture for women to excuse truly toxic behavior, like screaming matches, the silent treatment, throwing things, name-calling, by just waving a hand and saying, oh, well, I'm just emotional. That's just what comes with being a girl. I'm a spicy Latina, or whatever label they use. Yeah. It's used as a get-out-of-jail-free card for taking absolutely no accountability.
It is a massive deflection of responsibility. It's a way of saying, my neuroses are a quirky personality trait that you just have to deal with.
Right.
But let's dive into the reality of male self-respect here, because that is the hidden engine driving her sudden epiphany. Why is she suddenly taking accountability? Why is she suddenly motivated to heal and do the work?
Because he left.
Exactly. It is not because she woke up one day, meditated, and just found inner peace. It's because that man packed his bags and walked away.
Boom.
Yeah.
He didn't stay and try to fix her.
Let's expand on that. A woman will never, ever appreciate you while you are actively tolerating her disrespect. Think about the psychology of respect. We do not respect people who walk all over.
That's just human nature.
It is. If you sit there and absorb her unregulated emotions, her chaos, and her mood swings, and you just keep trying to be the sweet, understanding guy, you think you are showing her unconditional love, but she will view you as weak.
She sees it as a lack of options.
Exactly. She will view you as an emotional punching bag. She will think, if he respects himself so little that he allows me to treat him this way, why should I respect him? She only gained respect for this man because he turned his back on her. He decided that his own peace of mind was more valuable than being her caretaker.
And his absence forced the mirror in front of her face.
Precisely.
Uh-huh.
He didn't stick around to argue. He didn't write her a 10-page letter explaining how she hurt him. He didn't scream at her. He just removed his presence. And in that silence, she had no one to blame but herself.
Right, because there's no conflict to distract her.
She couldn't say, well, I'm mad because you yelled at me. He wasn't there to yell. She was forced to sit in an empty room with her own behavior and actually take accountability. So if you are listening to this right now and you are currently tolerating disrespect, dealing with a partner who constantly creates chaos, and you think that by being endlessly patient and understanding, you will eventually win her over and she'll calm down, you have the entire equation backward. She will only respect a man who enforces boundaries.
If you don't respect your own boundaries, how can you expect her to? Like a kid testing a fence. If the fence falls over every time they lean on it, they're going to keep knocking it down. If it's electrified, they learn to stay in the yard.
That's a very structural way to look at the behavioral conditioning aspect of it, but it's true. Humans operate on boundaries. You have to be willing to lose the relationship in order to save your self-respect.
And this is a massive balance, but while some women, like the one in this scenario, will eventually reflect and take accountability when a man walks away, others go in the exact opposite direction.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't reflect. The mirror goes up, and they just smash it. They escalate to pure, unadulterated chaos. And that leads us to the ultimate test of a man's frame.
The crucible. This is where you really find out what you're made of.
I call this the extreme frame control scenario, the broken window. Let me paint this picture for you because it is intense, but it happens more often than people think. You have an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend who has completely lost her mind.
Okay, setting the scene.
She is standing outside the man's car. She is screaming at the top of her lungs, crying hysterically, and she physically smashes and breaks his car window. While doing this, she is screaming threats that he is going to lose custody of their kids, that she's going to destroy his life, that she's going to ruin his career.
A total meltdown.
Full meltdown. Meanwhile, inside the car, the man is sitting in the driver's seat. He is completely calm. He isn't yelling back. He isn't out of the car physically restraining her. He is simply holding his phone, quietly recording the entire interaction for legal purposes. And sitting quietly in the passenger seat next to him is his new woman.
This is a masterclass in restraint. It is the absolute pinnacle of frame control.
Before we go deeper into that, I want to ask you to define something. We hear the term frame control thrown around a lot in the dating space. For a listener who might just think of it as a buzzword, what exactly is a frame in the psychological context? Are we talking about the dominant narrative of the relationship?
That's a great question. Yes, a frame is essentially the dominant reality or the operating system of a social interaction. In any interaction, one person's reality tends to absorb the other's.
Like an emotional gravity.
Exactly. If someone is panicking and you start panicking too, you have entered their frame. If someone is angry and you get defensive, you are operating in their frame. Frame control means maintaining your own internal reality regardless of the external pressure.
So in this scenario,
her frame is chaos, destruction, and high emotion. His frame is calm, lingual observation, and security. Whoever reacts to the other loses their frame. By not reacting, he forces her chaos to bounce off of his reality.
it's like watching a hurricane hit a reinforced concrete bunker. She is throwing every single weapon in her arsenal at him. She's destroying his property. She's threatening his children. She's trying to provoke him in front of his new partner. She is desperate to get a reaction to prove she still has some gravitational pull over his emotions.
And he gives her absolutely nothing.
Just a cold, blank stare at a camera lens.
Let's analyze exactly why this man is winning on every conceivable level. First, look at his life. He has built a new reality. He has a new partner who is sitting calmly. And notice she isn't screaming either.
Right, she feels safe.
Because he leads that dynamic with stability. He provides a shield. He likely has his resources in order. He's taking care of his physical and mental health. He is fully detached.
He's living in the present while the ex is violently trapped in the past.
Exactly. Now, let's look at why he doesn't yell back. Because he understands that anger is a form of engagement. If he yells, he validates her behavior. If he gets out of the car and restrains her, what happens?
She flips it on him.
Immediately. She will pull out her phone, call the police, and play the victim, claiming he assaulted her. She will use his reaction against him in family court. He knows the trap. By staying silent and recording, he is letting the systems handle her. He is letting the lawyers talk. He He is letting the police talk. He is letting the money talk.
God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Right.
In a situation like that, your only job is to observe, record the evidence, and keep moving forward.
Silence is your absolute greatest weapon against a toxic person. When you hold your own value, when you focus entirely on building your kingdom and you completely detach from people who want to bring chaos into your life, those people will literally lose their minds trying to drag you back down to their level.
It drives them crazy.
They cannot stand the fact that you have ascended past them. The broken window isn't really about the car. It's about her trying to shatter his peace because she has absolutely none of her own.
Man, that is powerful. She's trying to shatter his peace because she has none of her own. That is basically the dynamic of every toxic ex encounter distilled in one sentence.
And it requires immense discipline from the man. Your biological instinct is to fight back, to defend your property, to scream at the threats against your children. It takes a massive amount of internal rewiring to sit there and do nothing. But true power is knowing that reacting emotionally is exactly what gives her the ammunition she needs to destroy you, the calm down.
It brings us to one final, slightly smaller scale issue, but one that permeates almost all modern dating. And it really circles back to this idea of how we communicate our boundaries and when we choose to use silence. Let's talk about the ghosting double standard.
Yes, the demand for the so-called courtesy text.
Exactly. So here's the scenario. A woman goes on a podcast or makes a viral video complaining about how much she absolutely hates being ghosted.
Right.
She claims that when a guy she's been talking to just disappears, it triggers her deep abandonment wound.
I've heard this 1,000 times.
Right. And she begs men, she pleads with them to just have the balls to send a simple text saying, "Hey, I had a good time, but I'm just not feeling this." She said she would respect the man so much more if he just communicated instead of taking the weak way out and disappearing into the night.
Well, of course she says that.
Now, I'm going to genuinely push back on you here, because on the surface, isn't she right? Like, as men, aren't we supposed to be communicators? Isn't it just basic decency and common courtesy to send that text and give her closure? Why leave someone hanging?
On the surface, in a perfect, highly rational world, yes, it sounds like common courtesy. If we were all emotionless robots exchanging data, a status update makes sense.
Okay, but
But we do not live in a perfectly rational world. We live in a reality governed by ego and emotional reactivity. And this raises an incredibly important question about the nature of closure. In modern dating, the courtesy text is very often a trap.
a trap. How so? What's the trap in just saying, no thanks?
Because telling a woman, "I'm not feeling this," after 1 or 2 dates, almost never leads to a respectful, mutual goodbye. It does not provide the clean closure she claims she wants. What it actually does is open negotiations.
Oh, I see.
It leads to an argument. It leads to her demanding a detailed explanation of why you aren't feeling it. And when you give that explanation, even if you are perfectly polite, it almost always leads to insults. Her ego is bruised, so she suddenly decides you're insecure, or you're intimidated by her success, or you're a narcissist, or you just can't handle a strong woman.
Oh man, I've seen that exact text thread 100 times. You say, "Hey, I didn't feel a spark," and she replies, "Well, you're short anyway, and you bored me to death."
Exactly. The courtesy text invites her to try and regain the upper hand by attacking you on the way out. It gives her a target. Men are constantly taught by society that they owe women an explanation for their lack of interest. But you do not. Silence is an answer. Disappearing is an answer. It's actually the most definitive answer there is.
That's a paradigm shift for a lot of guys.
Now, obviously, let's caveat this. If you've been in a relationship for 2 years, or you've been sleeping together for 6 months, you don't just ghost. We are talking about the early stages of dating, like a first date or a few weeks of texting. In those early stages, walking away quietly is often the cleanest, most drama-free way to maintain your peace.
It protects your frame.
Right.
Because the minute you send that text, you are stepping back into her arena and handing her a microphone.
Exactly. And let's quickly address this abandonment wound manipulation she brought up in your scenario. We hear this therapy speak everywhere now. You triggered my trauma.
Yeah, everything is trauma now.
Right. It is not your job, as a man who went on 2 dates with a woman, to heal her childhood trauma or manage her psychological triggers. If your absence triggers her, that is her work to do in therapy. It is not your burden to manage via a carefully crafted text message.
That is a harsh truth, but it's one guys desperately need to hear. Stop trying to be everyone's therapist. Stop trying to soften the blow for someone who would likely drop you the second they found a better option without batting an eye.
Exactly. The double standard is massive. Women ghost men constantly for safety, for convenience, or just out of pure boredom. But when a man does it, it's suddenly framed as emotional abuse. You have to see through that narrative. Guard your time. Guard your energy.
Okay, let's pull all of this together because we've covered a massive amount of ground today. From the friend zone text delay to the party freakout, the downgrade illusion, the car insurance entitlement, the broken window, and the ghosting double standard.
It all connects. And if we synthesize the core truth of this entire deep dive, it comes down to this. Boundaries and silence are not tools for revenge. I need to make that incredibly clear. Do not ever use silence as a manipulative trick just to get a woman to come back.
Why not? Because guys do that all the time.
Yeah.
The whole no contact rule is often sold as a way to win your ex back. They think, I'll ignore her for a month, she'll miss me, and we'll get back together.
Because it's weak. And honestly, because it might actually work. She might come back. And when she does, she will bring the exact same drama, the exact same disrespect, and the exact same chaos with her.
Nothing actually changed.
Right. Nothing will have been solved because you didn't actually walk away to build a better life. You walked away to play a game. True silence, true no contact, is about finality. It is about taking the energy you were bleeding out into a toxic dynamic and redirecting it entirely into yourself. It's about accepting that you cannot change her. You can only change your proximity to her.
Yeah, that hits hard. It's the difference between acting like you're moving on and actually moving on. And that brings me to a final thought I want to leave everyone with today. I want you to really mull this over on your own. Think about the sheer amount of energy you spend explaining yourself, arguing in text paragraphs, worrying about her reaction, or trying to prove your worth to someone who has already fundamentally disrespected you. Think about the hours lost to that anxiety. If you took all that energy, every single ounce of it went completely silent, and poured it solely into building your own life, your career, your body, your mindset, who would you be 6 months from now? Would you still be the anxious guy she felt comfortable leaving? Or would you be the absolute king she can't believe she lost?
That is the only question that matters. Keep building.